Beautiful Friday morning. How are you doing? Welcome to Lifestyle Friday on Jam 316. We are live both on Family Radio 316 and on Family TV. So my question to you this morning is, did you get to file your taxes before the deadline? Did you get to file your taxes before the deadline? It's very interesting when we come to the month of June. Usually by the time we are getting to April, May, there are a few reminders here and there. File your taxes, file your taxes. We get to June, mid-June, there's usually a mad rush. And especially the last week, people are just rushing to file their taxes. But then once we jump into the July, that whole story just disappears. So does it mean if I didn't file, I'm okay, or am I not okay? Who should be filing taxes? Those are some of the questions we are going to be answering today on Lifestyle Friday. So my question to you is, why are you able to file your taxes before the deadline? SMS is 20316, WhatsApp 0786316316. Also inviting your questions that are tax related. We'll be able to have somebody to talk to us concerning that. I will be introducing her to you in the next short while. Leo tunaongea juu ya kulipa ushuru. Tunaambiwa kulipa ushuru ni kujitegemea. And the question I'm throwing out to you is, were you able to file your taxes before the deadline? There was a lot of hullabaloo, even here with some of my colleagues on the last week of June. Who can file these things for me? And then we jump into July and it's like amnesia. It never happened. We go on with life. In studio with me, Monica Gizuba from KRA. Monica, how are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
We are glad you're here. We have a lot of questions concerning the whole tax issue.
Yeah.
And I know you'll be able to give us some insight. Let's just begin with the basic. Who should file taxes?
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's really not filing taxes, but returns.
Returns,
yeah.
yes, returns.
So when you get a PIN number as an individual for any reason, then you have given information to the government that you intend to participate in economic activity. Oh. And so you're required to file a return to declare those economic activities that you intended to participate in.
As long as you have a PIN number?
Yes, as long as you have a PIN number, you are required to file a return.
Na kama sina kazi, if I don't have a job?
Yeah, let's say, like, for example, in cases of students who want to take a HELB loan and they are required to get a PIN number. So that means that you have not made any income in that financial year. Let's say it's the year 2019. So you can file a new return. There is a provision to file a new return, but that provision is for those who do not have any source of income as yet. Yeah.
So whether you have a job or not, as long as you have a PIN number, it is mandatory for you to file your returns.
Yes.
Annually.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
When should we file them?
So returns are due from December to 30th June. So let's say it's the from January. From January to 30th June. So the financial year for an individual runs from January to December.
Yeah.
So for 2019, it was from 1st of January to 31st of December. Then now you can file your return from January to June.
So we usually have 6 months to file our returns.
Yes.
Oh, my fellow Kenyans, I need to address the nation. Why are we so last minute then? Why is there such a rush the last 2 weeks of June? Is it that awareness is not created, or is it just a bad culture we have developed as a people?
I really think it's mostly a bad culture because the information now is there. Like even the campaigns from KRA begin all the way from April, so it's right in your face up until the last minute. But now you see, like if you're employed, you will need to you go to your payroll team and they'll give you a pay slip for the tax they've deducted in that year, and then you will use it to file. And it takes less than 10 minutes to file that return. Yeah. But
people still don't do it.
Yeah, people still don't do it.
I'm just curious, what percentage of people actually get to file their returns before the deadline?
Each year it goes high. So like the last year, 4.4 million people had already filed their returns.
Okay.
On the due date, by the due date. So we each year we see a growth. So like this year there was a 25% growth in terms of the number of people who filed their returns.
Okay, but the number of people who filed vis-a-vis the number of people who are meant to file, what percentage usually? Like now this year, what's the percentage of the people who filed? Would you have that figure?
I would say probably, let's say 60 to 70%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That's not bad.
No, not bad.
But
yeah.
there's still room for improvement.
Yes.
So, I don't know if you experience this. Unajua nyinyi ndio watu wa back end. As here we are front end trying to make sure we do our stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm just curious to know, when we hit July 1st, does the graph now just take a nosedive?
Yes,
in terms of the activity on your portal.
Yeah, it does take a nosedive, because now people were there. We wanted to do it last minute. Now, the problem with doing it last minute, you might encounter an issue. You might find out that maybe there is some issue with your iTax account, and then you're not able to sort it out within that time. So that's why we would encourage people to just start filing early enough, so that by the time we get to June, it's still, even if there are people filing on that date, it's not like a huge number. Because then you see, like now after the due date, people relax, and still when you come to the next year, you still be required to file this others year's return. So let's say you didn't file 2017, 2018, 2019, and you want to file for 2020, you still have to file all the pending returns before the system can allow you to file the current return.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing a lot of people don't know.
Yeah. You still have to do it.
There's usually the notion, like now, 2019, that one, deadline came, I didn't file, let me wait for 2020 so that I can file my returns for this year. So there's that assumption I got away with it.
No. Because now, actually, I'd say file it now. Because then, now there's there's no
rush.
Yeah, there's no rush. So in case you encounter anything, you actually be helped, and you'll understand the process such that in future, you will not need anybody to come and do this for you. You will not incur any costs, because then it becomes a very easy process when you understand it. But when it's foreign, it's like you're like, tax is too difficult, and you just stay away from it. But the moment you have it filed for you once and you're shown, I promise you 90% of the people will file it for themselves in the next years.
Okay.
Yeah.
What happens, supposing I haven't filed? Now we're in July.
Yeah.
The deadline came and went, and I haven't filed. What's my position? What happens to my record? Do I incur a fine?
Yeah.
What goes on?
So, as an individual who had a PIN and you did not file the return, the system is put in such a way that there is a penalty on the midnight of 30th June. The penalty hits your account, so you get a penalty of 2,000. So, even you will be able to file the return afterwards, but then it will be late filing. So you have a late filing penalty, which will be due from you.
2K.
Yes.
This is now for talking about the individuals. For any individual, it doesn't matter your kind of job, whether you are working or not working.
Yes, it doesn't matter, because then remember what a return is. It's like a statement, your financial statement for the year you're giving the government and telling them, I did not make any income in this year, or I made this income in this year. So when you register, get a PIN, those are the obligations that you're supposed to comply with, and you've not complied with this. So the penalty is there so that we can enhance. It's a way of enhancing compliance, so that people can file their returns as and when required. Okay. Yeah.
Now, if you have any questions for us this morning, we're inviting you to be a part of this conversation. 20316 is the SMS line, and the WhatsApp number is 0786 316 316 10. It's good to hear from you. It's been a while. You say, I always file my tax returns way before time, and this has been year in, year out. I'm in charge of filing for my chama. This I do in January. And my personal filing, I do it in April. And as I need information for my employer, which comes in at that time, I just don't know how to do things last minute. Ajiro, you're a special breed of Kenyan. You need to lay hands on the rest of us so that we can become like you, to file our returns in good time. I'm just curious, for you guys who work at KRA, do you also do last minute?
No.
Personally,
I do it in April also, like early enough.
And your colleagues, like Wageni? Wageni is my friend. I can pick on her.
Yeah, I'm sure she does it early enough. Yeah.
You don't have people who file late and they work for KRA.
They'll still get the penalty.
We don't have to mention names.
Yeah.
I'm sure there must be a few who
nimesahau.
What is the date again? I'll do it next year. Anyway, I'm inviting your questions. 20316 is the SMS line. WhatsApp number 0786 316 316. Today we are talking about kulipa ushuru ni kujitegemea. Are you tax compliant as an individual? I have Monica from KRA giving us all the information that we need to know. If you have questions for me, 20316 is the SMS line, and the WhatsApp number is 0786 316 316. Na tusikizane, usingoje mpaka 8:49. When I have like 4 minutes to end the interview, and then you're giving me like 56 questions. Ask them now so that we can be able to give you the information that you need. I have a question here. You talked about the 2K fine.
Penalty.
The penalty.
Yeah.
A fine sounds more. Una fine. There's a fine of 2K.
Yeah.
Somebody's asking, does that 2,000 continue to accumulate each year? I don't file my returns.
Yeah, so for every year that you don't file, you get the 2K, the 2,000. And then if you don't file another year, it's still 2,000.
Okay.
But it will not increase to remain as 2,000. Unless now you have some tax that you're supposed to pay. If there was tax due, then it will accumulate.
Okay. So it doesn't accrue any interest?
No.
It's just another 2K on top of the one you had, and then another?
Yes.
Maybe they should make it more. So that people can style up. But still on that whole issue, I'm just wondering, are there ever situations where you find I'm filing my returns, but it's almost like the taxes I paid were not enough, so I owe. What are some situations that would create such a scenario? So
you see, for if it's pay as you earn, then the scenario can come about if your employer has made a mistake in their calculation.
Okay.
Because then they're the ones who are supposed to remit this tax on your behalf, and then the situation will come about where there's some error, and you find out that you have some tax to pay. So you do your verification, and if this tax is due, then you can generate a payment slip on iTax and pay it. But
who will be the one supposed to pay? Is it me or my employer?
You see, if you as the employee file the return, and you can see that your employer made a mistake, and you're supposed to pay more tax than is there, then you see this is tax that is due from you. You as an individual. Yes. So you can make the payment, and then maybe follow up later to see where the error was, and so that it's not replicated in the next year. Okay. Because if the tax is due from you, it's due from you. Yes, though the government would mostly follow it from the employer side.
They have the responsibility to deduct. It's like they act like an agent for the government.
Yes.
What happens then? Because I've seen several situations where unapewa pesha kwa bahasha. You have this job, you do a job, you are an employee, but your money even never hits the account. It's like there are no records of anything. You're given your money in an envelope, and your employer tells you pay your taxes yourself. How is that even legal?
That is not legal, because now, as an employer in Kenya, you're required to follow some regulations, and one of those regulations is that if you expect to have people to pay, you are required to register for pay as you earn. And when you register as an agent of the government to collect taxes from the people you're paying, then that is a requirement. So, and one of the requirements also is to keep proper records. As a company, as an employer, you're required by law to keep proper records of the transactions that happen in your business. So you're required to keep those records of salaries and wages that you've paid, which this person, the employer, will even use to file their returns. So any person who is paying money like that in a bahasha is actually not following the law.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What about people who have two jobs?
Yeah.
Nowadays, everybody is hustling. So you have people who have two jobs or even three jobs.
Yeah.
Does that mean they file their returns thrice because I have three jobs?
No. Okay, so the return in iTax, which you file in an Excel sheet, has a provision for you to have as many employers as you need, or as you can have.
You can handle.
Yeah, so you will file each one on the same return. Yeah. So they will give you whatever they used to, the document which you call a payslip or P9, the summary of the whole year, and you will use that to enter that information into the Excel sheet, and then the Excel sheet will do your calculations, and then you can compare and see if there are any errors, if there is any tax due, if there was any tax that was deducted that was not supposed to be deducted, and there are steps you can follow to either apply for a refund or make a payment where necessary.
Okay. That refund thing, we'll talk about it a bit later. I know we've kind of answered this question, but I can see several people are asking the same question, so maybe you can clarify it again. Can I still file my returns after the deadline? That's what several people are asking. I will not mention your names, but we know you. We feel your pain.
Yes, you can file your return right now, and anytime you want to file. But remember that if you had registered, let's say you took your PIN in 2016 and you've never filed your return from that period, you will have to file the 2016, 2017
separately.
Yes, each year. Okay. So you will have to get the documents that you require for each of those years and then file them, because the iTax system will not accept 2020 or 2019 return if 2018 is not there. So you'll have to file any preceding returns before you can file the current one.
So basically what she's saying is this: there's no escape. File it on time or don't file it, you will still have to file it. Even if it's 10 years later, you will still have to do 1 year until you finish.
Yes.
Another good question here is there an age limit? I know we said as long as you get a PIN number, then you must start filing your returns.
Yeah.
But tukisonga huko juu, huko karibu na ceiling, is there an age limit?
Not really, because you can still be 90 and you have lots of businesses, you're a director somewhere, so you're getting income. But then you see, a past retirement, if you don't have any other source of income that you're getting, you still now got to file the returns, but nil. And then now we can, if you can even come to KRA and have your account checked and see if you can deactivate a PIN that is no longer valid or no longer in use, especially for, let's say, maybe a company that was there and then it's no longer there. You can deactivate a PIN number.
Yes.
But with valid reasons as to why the PIN should be stopped or deactivated or made dormant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gifted Kelly from Njoro, Egerton. How are you doing today? Salimia watu wa Nakuru, Flamingo County. Kelly is saying, I heard of a penalty waiver for those who are still student. Is that true in case they fail to file their returns? Kuna kitu kama penalty waiver ya wanafunzi kweli?
Kuna waiver ya kila mtu, but you have to apply for the waiver. So the law, the law gives a provision for you to apply for waiver of penalties and interests. But
are there special conditions that qualify you to apply for a waiver, or it's open to everybody?
Yeah, so you will give your reasons. You will, when in the application for waiver through iTax, you'll give the reason as to why you feel you need the waiver, and then the officer from KRA will verify this if it's a valid reason. For example, let's say you are unwell or some valid reason. And for students, what we check is if you are in school, if you have sometimes, because let's say some people get their PIN numbers when they are getting into campus, and then years later they are trying to file and they see that they got all these penalties that accumulate from a very long time ago. So you can attach the documents that show that you are a student. You can attach the documents that show you're in university, the HELB application, like to show that seriously you are not having any source of income. And then your application will be verified, and if you qualify, if you have given good reason with evidence, then there's no reason that for it to be denied.
Okay. I'm thinking about the regular Joe or the regular Joyce in town. They work in a stall, they sell clothes, they're employed there. And they're basically just given their money maybe weekly or at the end of the month. How does that work? Because they don't really have like a contract of employment. It's just we are hustling. A buddy of mine has a stall in Tao, so me, I just sell for him. At the end of the month, he gives me like 10K. Me, I'm good. What happens in a situation like that?
You know, like the law has given the obligation of tax deduction to the employer. So you as a employee, the employer, person who has employed this lady or this, you are the one who's supposed to account for their taxes. So if their taxes are more than 13,468, then you're required to withhold taxes, to deduct the pay as you want. If you do not deduct the pay as you want, then the liability falls on the employer. So KRA will not follow the employee. It will follow the employer. And they're the ones to pay. If they decide to follow you to pay, to follow the employee to pay, then it will be upon them. But KRA will not come looking for a simple Kenyan who has just been paid and has not, that the pay as you want has not been deducted. They will follow the employer.
The employer.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people today have side hustles.
Yeah.
Even people like me who have a day job. Maybe I have a kibanda somewhere along the road.
Yeah.
You know, and I have somebody there who's working for me, so to speak. But that money it exchanges hands and life goes on. Am I expected to really pay taxes on that? My kakibanda that earns me like 5K, 10K a month, it's just Apple. Am I supposed to be paying taxes on that?
Yeah, you see, that's a business. So if you are all following the law, you would have some records, even if they're not complete, that shows I made maybe 100,000 from this, and then the iTax will not still be taxed, because remember we have bands. So if your income is like as I said, below the threshold, you won't pay any taxes. Or if you make a loss, let's say you're in business and you declare a loss, you won't pay any taxes. So the ideal situation is that if you're making income, or if it's an extra side hustle that you're making money from, you declare all this. You come to your return and declare all this money, and then if there is any tax due, you pay, or if there is not, you've done your part in filing the return.
I think this is another good question from Dan. Dan in Ngong is saying, "Thank you so much. That's a great show. I filed my returns wrongly." Mimi to a last minute. We see you, Dan. We know you. We know your ways. He says, I didn't include the tax relief. Now it looks like I owe KRA some many thousands. Is it possible to amend after you have filed?
Yes, it is possible to amend. And if you're amending it downwards, such that, let's say you have tax to pay and you're reducing that tax to pay, it will have to go through an approval process. Because then you can't allow everybody to just reduce the taxes without having a check. So you can go to the same way you filed. You go to file an amended return. Choose a year, then download that return, make the changes, and then upload it. When you upload it, it will create a task, and then an officer in KRA will check and approve or reject the amendment. Whether if it's valid, it will be approved, and your return will be as good to go. Yeah.
Question for your guest. If I get a tax compliance certificate, does that mean I don't owe KRA anything?
You see, a tax compliance certificate means that you've been filing and paying. And if you have any tax that is due, there is a payment plan that is there, and you're complying with that payment plan. Or maybe, let's say you have a waiver of penalties and interest that is still in progress. You can get your compliance certificate as long as that process is still. There is proof that process is still going on. So the thing to know about a tax compliance certificate is, are you filing and paying? And if there is any debt, is there a plan that you've agreed with KRA, payment plan, and you're following through? Then you can still get your compliance certificate.
How does one get that certificate? You know, Kenyans, we love certificates. I don't know if you've ever gone to those homes where there's one wall for certificates. Your baptism, your marriage, your birth. So we love certificates. So how does one get to apply for a tax compliance certificate? You apply.
You remember the iTax profile. Your iTax profile is your communication link between you and KRA. So that is the same profile that you use to apply for the compliance certificate.
Naona maswali zingine hapa ni ngumu. We'll get to them shortly. We are talking about taxes. Kulipa ushuru ni kujitegemea. Are you tax compliant, my friend? Did you file your taxes for last year? Did you file them on time? Mesikia kuna kuwaga na penalty ka 2,000 bob if you miss the deadline. And I imagine Kenyans, we usually have 6 months. January, February, March, April, May, June. And we still don't meet the deadline. This is another conversation we need to have, but that one is for another day. So you still have more time to ask questions. We have about 27 minutes before we get to 9 o'clock. 20316 SMS line, WhatsApp number 0786 316 316. I never thought I could talk about taxes and have so much fun. Jehovah is in this studio. I am telling you. How do you talk about taxes and you're laughing in the studio? We are talking about the importance of being tax compliant. Are you tax compliant? Did you file your taxes before the deadline? If you have any questions concerning how that can affect you, talk to us on 20316. SMS, WhatsApp 0786316316. In studio with me, Monica from KRA, giving us some very, very vital information. Martin Dongo, my good friend, is asking a very interesting question. Martin anauliza, how does filing taxes help him as a business person?
As a business person, filing tax to file your taxes, you will have to have prepared records. So you as a businessman, taxes require you to keep records of how much you've paid, how much you've sold, how much you've received. So at the end of the financial year, you know for sure, am I making a profit or am I making a loss? And that activity of preparing that and even submitting them to KRA improves your business. Because then you have to be on point. Your records, if you're buying from somebody, they give you a record. So at least you maintain purchases, sales, expenses, salaries, and then when you come, you're not mixing your personal expenses with your business expenses. So you can see, is my business viable? Is it working, or where do I need to improve? And also, you become for example, if you want to expand and you want to work with organizations like maybe let's say Safaricom or any other organization, they will require you to give them a tax compliance certificate. So if you've not been filing a return, then you might lose out on that job because you don't have a tax compliance certificate. Because most companies want to work with people who are complying with the laws in which they operate.
I think that's a good point, because I find that as Kenyans, we need managers and supervisors. Unless there's somebody standing over my head with a stick, sometimes we don't do what we need to do. Unless there's a traffic man at the traffic lights, a traffic policeman at the traffic lights, we will not obey the traffic lights. And so I'm just wondering, if somebody has not been filing, do you guys ever go after people, or how can that affect me in the future? I know you've talked about the whole job scenario, but are there other instances that this can come back to bite me? Some of us only learn through trauma.
So filing a return, remember you have a PIN, and KRA has a record of all this, whether you've been filing or not. So as KRA, we will come back and check. Because remember, this is a self-assessment. You've assessed yourself. You said, I made a few millions this year, and this is the tax I'm supposed to pay. Then KRA will come back later and verify these returns that Kenyans have filed. Of course, there has to be a risk management system, because now we cannot check everything at once. But then we will do an analysis and see the risk factors and the risk areas, and then we will demand tax where it is due. But also, as you as a taxpayer don't file your return, you might need a tax compliance certificate, and then you apply for it, and the system just does not allow you to even apply for it because you have a few returns that are not filed, and you have this tax. Because now it becomes frustrating, because maybe that's the point, you need that compliance certificate. Maybe you've gotten a job interview, and that's where they're telling you let a compliance certificate, but then you don't have it, and then you start now to hustle for something that would have been very easy and automatic if you had only filed the return. So even if KRA does not get to you, you will need this compliance certificate at some point. And if you have not been filing and paying, then you will not get. It will bite you. I know we've touched on this, but maybe you could again
We learn through repetition. Answer it again. What about a case where someone was employed by an organization and they thought their taxes were being paid, only to realize 4 years later that their former employer had not been remitting the taxes? What's the way forward?
So if this employer had give you a pay slip or just the P9 which shows the tax they deducted, you just file your return, do your bit. Then now it's up to KRA to follow this employer. You are not the one to go tell your employer you've not paid. KRA is the one now that will follow this employer.
Okay.
But you'll have done your part because they've given you a document showing that they deducted this tax.
Yes.
But now when you file, there'll be like a missing. Their credits will be missing. So KRA is the one that will follow the employer. Yeah. Though you can provide information to KRA to your station and say, you know what, my employer deducted this tax, but they did not pay. But now it's up to KRA to follow the employer because you can't have Kenyans following employers.
That can be something else.
Yeah.
Talk a bit about consultants because consultants come in, they are paid. But they're not part of the organization. They are not employees. They don't have a pay slip.
Yeah.
How does that work out?
So consultants, for KRA to agree that you're a consultant, there are some conditions you have to meet. Because you have to issue this person that you're providing this job with a fee note. Because you are not an employee does not provide the employer with a fee note.
Yes.
They don't sign a sheet. They don't sign in and out. They are not there like the whole year. So there are conditions we will check to see if this is an employee or a consultant.
Yeah.
So even if you're acting as a consultant, just make sure that it is clear. You have a contract that you've signed that this is a consultancy. Because the tax obligations of a consultancy are a bit different.
Okay.
Because the only thing this employer, this person that you're providing the service to will deduct is withholding tax of 5% from whatever amount they pay you. Then they'll pay it. And then you will combine all your consultancy fees and then you will deduct your expenses and then you have a credit from the withholding tax that was deducted. So if you're an employee, but then we treat you as a consultant, this is not the right thing. So make sure if you are paid on a consultancy basis, there are documents supporting that, and also your working modalities should portray the picture that seriously you're not an employee, you're a consultant.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think from what you're saying, one of the things that's coming out is the importance of just making everything legal.
Yeah.
Even if you're working for a buddy, a family member, just a friend, because sometimes we have this handshake agreements. You just do this deal for me, I'll pay you. And then later on, when things get out of hand, there's no documentation to prove the allegations that you're bringing forth.
And it can be a simple document, as long as, of course, it has the correct information and it has the description of the job and it has the details of everyone involved. So it doesn't have to be a lengthy, complicated process. But formalizing your business operations is good for you either way, because then you will be compliant and you will ensure that everything is on board so that you don't encounter tax issues later.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is a good one as well. My name is Angela. Angela, how are you doing? Angela says she took her PIN earlier this year and she was trying to file her returns before the deadline in June. And the system didn't allow her to file her nil returns and she's wondering, how is that?
Yeah. So remember, we are filing, in 2020, we are filing the return for 2019. So for her return, her 2020 return will be due in 2021.
Yeah.
So that's when she'll be able to file the 2020 return. Remember, we're declaring our transactions or our income for the whole financial year.
Yes.
And then paying any tax due within that period or
Okay.
Yeah.
Great conversation there. How about bequeathed income? Bequeathed, my friend, where is my dictionary? Say from an estate of a deceased person, and it's still not legally transferred to the beneficiaries. Can their PIN be deactivated and new records started, or how do you go about it?
Yeah, so in case of death, then there's an administrator. If you instigate that process, you get an administrator.
Yes.
So the taxes will be paid by this administrator, and then as the process continues and everything is completed, then the PIN will be deactivated, and everybody who gets a share will account for their taxes. But in the time being, the estate has to choose an administrator who will pay and account for the taxes due at that point.
Wow.
Yeah.
Iko swali ingine. One more opportunity to ask your question. 20316 SMS line, WhatsApp number 0786 316 316. Unajua vile tunakuaga last minute. Haya, we have like 13 more minutes. We are talking about taxes, but before we engage a bit further on taxes, I want to remind you that Eden Tea truly is the finest garden tea. I've been telling you about Eden Tea from Monday, so have you tried it out? Try it out. You will not regret it. This is one of the things I love about Eden Tea. There are some let me not mention names, but there are some teas, there are some brands, you put the tea bag in a cup, it needs help. It's like Adam needs a helper. You have to put another tea bag, like 3, before the color comes out. Eden Tea is not like that. 1 tea bag is enough. In fact, 1 tea bag you can actually make 2 cups of tea. It is that good. The flavor, unbelievable. You need to try it out this weekend. Make your way to the supermarket, get some Eden Tea. It comes in a variety of flavors: Eden Tea Purple, Eden Green Tea, Eden Ginger Tea. I mean, you're spoiled for choice. But the most important thing that Eden Tea is reminding us in this season is that together we can stop the spread of the coronavirus. How do we do that? By not forgetting the little things. Wash your hands with soap and running water. Mikono zetu zimekuwa brown, my friend. I'm telling you, we didn't know it was uchafu. Now we've been washing our hands like 4 or 5 times a day. Hiya, kumbe nilikuwa yero. I'm telling you, it's amazing. The other thing you need to do is put on a face masks when you're out there interacting with people. A face mask is not to hide your beard. It is not to cool your forehead. It is for here. I'm seeing a lot of people putting on a face mask here. Others are wearing it like a chain. No, it's not an accessory. It's for your protection. So when you're out there, put on a face mask. Also remember social distancing, or physical distancing as some prefer to call it. 1.5, 2 meters as you interact with other people. It's really, really very important. Together we can stop the spread of coronavirus. This morning, it's all about taxes. Kulipa ushuru ni kujitegemea. Are you tax compliant? In studio with me, Monica, giving us some very, very good information concerning taxes and what we need to know. Now, Linda is asking a very interesting question. Linda is saying, Pastor James, please ask our guest if I must pay the 5 bob owed to KRA after filing my returns. Is it too late to pay now? What are the repercussions of not paying? And how do I pay? Is there like a pay bill number one can use?
Yes, there is a pay bill number, 572572. But the first thing you do is generate a payment slip. So you go into your iTax, register, there's payment registration, then you will enter, you will just select whatever tax you want to pay, then the system will pull your debt. And then you can pay via the pay bill number 572572. The number, the account number will be the number that you see starting with KRA, blah blah blah.
So once you generate that, okay.
So you will use that to pay. If you don't pay, there's a late payment penalty of 5%, and then interest accumulates at 1% per month.
Say that again.
So let's say for every tax, any tax that is not paid, there's a late payment penalty of 5% of the tax due, and then there is interest of 1% per month.
So I'm a bit lost there. Is this over and above the 2K? You talked about a 2K.
Yeah, but you see, 2K is for not filing.
2K is for not filing.
Or late filing.
Not filing or late filing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But now, if you owe KRA, that one has an interest. It has an interest.
Let's say you file your return and then you see that there's like a 10,000 there that you're supposed to pay.
Yes.
So it gets, because you've not paid by the due date, it will be 5% of that tax. Plus now the 10,000 starts accumulating interest of 1%.
Every month?
Yes.
My friend, tulikuwa tunafikiria tumeponyoka. Hapo hatujaponyoka. Okay.
Yeah.
That now paints a different picture because for those who think I've gotten away with it, it will still come back to bite them.
Yeah.
Do you ever get to a place where you start following up on individuals?
Yes, we do. Especially now, we have a compliance department where we are establishing relationship managers.
Okay.
So every taxpayer is mapped to a relationship manager. Of course, because of the numbers, we cannot say it's a one-on-one match, but then that's where we are going, where every taxpayer will have a relationship manager who you can contact about your iTax issues, about maybe even payments that you're struggling with, and you can come up with a payment plan. So that's where we are headed.
Okay.
And so we do follow individuals who have not complied or who have not filed. Yeah.
One final question, because I'm hearing voices in my head. Our time is up. What of the situation where I file my returns and hallelujah, Jehovah has heard my prayers? It is KRA who owe me. What happens after that?
So for that one, you have to apply for a refund, still through iTax.
Okay.
So in your iTax profile, there are many tabs, and one of them is refunds. So you just click on that refund, the system selects the refunds that are there, then you apply. But remember, this refund has to also go through a verification process.
Yes.
So it has to be a valid refund.
Yes.
So where did this refund come from? So those are the kind of documents you will need to provide. If more tax was deducted, if maybe your employer did not give you relief, personal relief, then you can provide supporting documents and your money will be paid back.
Okay. You guys actually pay out money.
That's
Somebody
what-
was telling me,
yeah,
ati KRA pesa ikiingia yezi toka. Is that true?
Actually, okay, when you get a refund on iTax, you are taken back to page 1. You must fill the bank details.
Okay.
Because because that means there's money that KRA should pay you. And right now KRA has even been given the guideline from the government to pay the refunds that are due.
Corona imetupeleka vibaya.
Yeah.
Wow. Can you carry it forward and say, KRA kaeni nayo next year mtadeduct kwa zile nitakuwa na
you can't, for individuals you can't carry it forward unless it's on a payment that you'd made and then you want it, let's say next year you have more tax to pay, and then you can have it balanced out and you pay less. But now for a refund was hivyo.
What if niko na refund na nisi apply? What happens?
It will still be there. It will still be in the system. And at any one point you can come and apply.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, our time is up, imagine. So fast. Hujatuma salamu. Hapa watu wanatumaga salamu.
Nituma salamu. Natuma salamu pale Kiambu. Yeah, to my mother and father.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. and Mrs. Giduba.
Great.
Yes.
Asante sana. Thank you so much for coming, and I believe the information you've given us is very beneficial.
Yeah.
Maybe next year we can do this early. January, February, hapo tuchangamshe watu walipe ushuru.
Sawa.
Tujitegemee.
Sawa.
Thank you so much for being a part of Lifestyle Friday today. Let's see what God will have in store for us next week. Have a great Friday.
For this and more of our shows, log on to www.familymediaonline.com to enjoy a wide variety of programs, from current affairs to testimonials and features, pastoral and inspirational shows, kids entertainment, and so much more. Also stream live on www.familymedia.tv.